because all the dialogue and everything was typical war movie, and it was all that like, hey Snake, bring around the big one.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, we're gonna sell the sizzle, not the steak or something. It was like,
yeah, I was just scrolling Amazon and I saw Jake Gyllenhaal and I was like, I'm in.
Right, that's your sweetheart. Okay.
Yeah. But
it's such a funny thing. And these people are just being killed for no reason. Like lunatic guys in pickup trucks would come flying into the village, shoot a whole bunch of people, and just take off and to no benefit.
Hello and welcome to The Real Generation Gap. My name is Shane Schuldmeyer.
And I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we are reviewing Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
And I just can't get over the fact that he put his name in the title. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
I thought I was reading it wrong at first. I was like, oh, it's The Covenant. And then I was like, no, that's the title.
Right.
Which is kind of a douchey thing to do.
Well, I thought so too. You don't see Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List.
No,
it's just Schindler's List.
It is just Schindler's List, yeah.
So that was a pretty weird thing.
Very weird.
And the funny part of it is this is the most non-Guy Ritchie movie that Guy Ritchie ever made.
Exactly. It's a very weird thing to do. And he hasn't, maybe if he does it with all his movies, Guy Ritchie's Snatch, Guy Ritchie's whatever. But no, this is the first movie he's done that he's done this, and
it'd be like the Beatles' Hey Jude.
Yeah, exactly. It's super
this doesn't
weird.
work.
Super weird.
It doesn't work.
So Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, Fred. What were your initial thoughts on this movie?
Well, the movie takes place in Afghanistan in 2018. Mm-hmm. And what I love war movies, and you know that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But the movies that take place in the Middle East now, they all seem to be focused on PTSD. Mm-hmm. And that's not really a war movie thing. Mm-hmm. It's a whole other genre, and it seems that it's a real big issue now where it used to just be the battle, So I was anticipating the PTSD thing, and there was a lot of PTSD stuff in it. He had tremendous angst when he came home, but it was a different kind of angst.
Yeah.
He had angst because he had to fulfill the covenant. Mm-hmm. He didn't have horrible memories. He was full of horrible memories, but that wasn't what was driving this story.
Yeah.
And that's why I really liked it and I appreciated that.
Okay. Yeah, my initial thoughts were I just threw on a movie in the background. I was hanging out, and I love war movies, and I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Man, that's my man crush right there. Jake Gyllenhaal right there.
Well, he had that one movie where he was kind of crushy.
Oh, yeah. I actually never seen that movie. You're talking about Brokeback Mountain, right? I've never seen it, but I do love me some Jake Gyllenhaal. Do you have a man crush?
No.
Man crush actor? No, you don't do that?
No.
Your generation's
But I was happy to see that in Common Ground that Jason Momoa found his feminine side.
Okay. But yeah, so I was like, Jake Gyllenhaal, I'll throw this movie on. Love war movies. Me and my roommate were just kicking it, watching it. It was okay to me, I love a good war movie. This just didn't touch me. It felt like it was fast-paced, not a lot really happening. I don't know. It wasn't it for me.
What really surprised me was Ahmed Dar Salim. Mm-hmm. He stole the show. Yeah. He was the guy.
Yeah.
Now, both of the principals. It was like Jackie Gleason and Ed Norton in The Honeymooners. I mean, both of them just worked together so strong. Mm-hmm. And he was one of those actors where you don't believe he's acting. Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree.
It just seemed like a real guy doing a real thing in a real place. I didn't see any acting.
Yeah.
And that's how good an actor he was. I was really impressed with him. And the writers that made that character, they really created a fantastic. This is one of those writer and director and actor. It must have really come together.
I didn't think it was that deep of writing. I thought the writing was It was very predictable, but it was cool.
It's true. In fact, I put a thing in my notes. The only real writing in the movie, where there was a philosophical moment, John Kinley, he confronts a colonel, and this is a bureaucracy moment, and he says he had saved the colonel's life in another battle.
Yeah.
So he says...
Yeah, that was the best writing in the whole movie for me.
That was the real... He
says,
I have a hook in me. Do you think I have a choice? He wants to go rescue his friend. He says, I saved your life. You're the kind of man who pays his debt. pay your debt. So his debt to him was to help him save Ahmed.
Yeah, so basically it's like the story of I have to trust this guy. Jake Gyllenhaal has to trust the interpreter, and but he doesn't trust him at first, and then he ends up saving his life a few times, and then in the end is Jake Gyllenhaal going to save his life, you know? It's kind of like that's the story.
And it was real do or die.
I did like the aspect there was no love romance, there was no love story, there was no, romantic plot. It was just kind of, I don't want to say a bromance, but just like a bro story kind of.
Yeah, but way
Brothers of War. Brothers of War.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I did like that.
The kind of trust that a soldier has to have in another soldier.
Yeah.
You have to depend on that guy. He has to depend on you. Your life depends on it. And it was a very dramatic movie that way.
Yeah.
It was so hopeless at so many points. How are they ever going to get away with this or get through this? I mean, he dragged the man like 100 miles through the desert.
And I feel like a lot of, I want to say, post 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan war movies, a lot of them are like, America, we're there showing freedom, we're there for freedom. And I feel like this kind of stepped away from that. I don't want to say it was against that, but I feel like it focused more on like the turmoil of what was going on there and how things were rough for the interpreters and how they were kind of in the middle of, both sides.
Well, that's why in my introduction I said the capriciousness. And that these people are just being killed for no reason. Like lunatic guys in pickup trucks would come flying into the village, shoot a whole bunch of people, and just take off and to no benefit. And the people they were shooting were like totally impoverished, poor people. Like you're having a terrible day anyway, and now you got,
now you're dodging bullets.
Yeah, so unfair, so unreasonable,
Yeah.
And it's that horror. It's one thing to be in the combat shooting. It's another thing to be living there while people are having the combat. You're trying to raise your kids. You have a goat. You're trying to, and really, really terrible.
What did you think about the combat scenes? And let's compare it to Saving Private Ryan or any other war movie.
Okay, the combat scenes are always great in all these movies.
Yeah.
People really know how to do this.
Yeah.
And this, there you go.
Yeah.
Most civilians don't even understand these arms. It's just not like a regular ranch rifle. Like these things, high capacity, armor piercing. People don't know the difference between a rifle and a cannon.
Okay.
Like there's a thing where a bullet goes through you. There's another thing where the bullet explodes when it hits you.
Yeah.
So all the scenes, and there were a lot of combat scenes, and roadside bomb stuff. Really unfair. People far away. Raining down, you don't know where it's coming from. And then you have surveillance from above. Satellites are telling you what to do, and airplanes are going by.
There was a scene like that in here, right?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Right, it's like 2 miles ahead, there's a trap.
That was cool.
And then it's not like, don't go in the trap. It's like, go in and destroy the trap. You have to fight it. And just so terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. War is always terrible. Right. Anyway, philosophy is important to me, and integrity is important to me, and that they produced a movie, Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
That they produced a movie that was all about integrity.
Yeah.
It was, I have to do what I have to do. I have a debt that I have to pay. I can't sleep until I do this. And Jake Gyllenhaal really portrayed that, not sleeping.
Yeah.
He was, and even his wife said, look, you're useless to me like this. You go do what you got to do.
Yeah, I think
go back. He's in America. He's totally escaped.
Too.
He's really good. Everything's fine. He's got to go back.
Yeah, I think we have a picture, if Luke wants to pull it up, where it shows him on his first call trying to get over there, and in the second call, and then he keeps trying to call and figure out how to get over there.
Well, that was the next thing in the movie that really
There it is. Yeah, and he starts drinking. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the fact that he has to deal with the bureaucracy. So he goes to the soldiers and he says, look, I have to rescue this guy. He saved my life. He and his wife and child are in danger because they helped us.
Yeah.
Because they helped us.
Yeah.
The guy could have just been like a regular Arab and been in the desert. Nobody would have known anything. But because he helped the Americans, now he was in trouble. They're like, we can't let him down. They're like, oh, well, we don't have funding for that. And, it's not on the schedule. And you're talking about a lot of equipment. There's logistics. He's like, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
I'll go there by myself
Do you think that's realistic? You come from a
Yeah.
military family, right? Do you think
Yes.
that's realistic that they would send someone back by themselves to go save a civilian there or an
No.
interpreter there?
No,
don't-
that would be this is a very extreme situation.
Yeah.
Usually you have a chain of command,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's it.
So it was the drama of him overcoming the bureaucracy. First, he had to overcome being wounded. Then he had to overcome being rescued. Then he had to overcome all these things. And when he was at home, in his beautiful home,
Yeah,
which interestingly enough was in a desert here.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of almost cruel. But anyway, he then had to overcome the bureaucracy. And I find that in our own lives now, we are confronted with this even at the civilian level. You know,
How so?
Well, if you need medical care, you go there. They schedule your appointment for 4 months later.
Yeah.
Then a week before the appointment, they cancel the appointment. So
And then you show up on time you show up early for your appointment, and you don't get seen for like 5 hours late.
Yeah, they're the medical people will call you 2 days before. Don't forget your appointment. The day before, don't forget your appointment. Your appointment's in an hour. You're getting text, you're getting stuff, and everything like that. And then you show up
Yeah.
and wait an hour and a half.
Yep.
So but that's, I'm whining about small potatoes. This guy had to rescue a family
After being torn up himself.
in the most hot war zone you could
Yeah.
possibly imagine, where you can't identify the enemy. You go into town, everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
You don't know if the guy sleeping there is going to pull a gun on you in 10 seconds or a baby is going to be holding a bomb or
Yep.
whatever it is. So it's so hazardous, so dangerous, and he's got to do it.
Yeah.
So it's a movie about integrity and honor, and I like that.
I like that a lot too. I
Yeah.
like that a lot too. I think the movie was lacking something for me. I don't know what it is. I just wasn't super in it. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah. Maybe the pace was a little too fast for me. I don't know, but it just wasn't it for me.
You thought the pace was too fast.
I'm thinking maybe that's it. I don't know. I really don't know, but for me it was just kind of like an movie.
Okay.
I could do with it, I could do without it.
Fair. Well, it's not the great epic of all time.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. It's not going to
Yeah.
go down in history or anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't find any flaws with it.
Okay.
So I feel like because all the dialogue and everything was typical war movie.
Yeah, and I want to say there wasn't much dialogue.
No. And it was all that like, hey, Snake, bring around the big one.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, we're going to sell the sizzle, not the steak or something. It was like, okay, fine. It was a bunch of cliches and, all soldier cliches. And once again, could be written by AI.
And again, I feel like it was super different from a typical Guy Ritchie movie. Like I feel like dialogue is pretty heavy for him, or he plays with dialogue pretty frequently.
Well, I agree with that because Guy Ritchie movies are all over the place, kind of, and this was just a chronological day
Yeah.
1, day 2, day 3, day 4. You march right to the very end of the movie. There
Yeah.
was no foreshadowing.
Yeah.
There was no flashbacks.
No, yeah.
I mean, he had a couple of nightmares here and there, but
Yeah.
that's to be expected. But anyway, I've kind of felt like I'll give it an 8.
You're giving it an 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it
Dang.
was the great of all time. It wasn't
That's
The
still
Godfather.
a good grade though. That's
But it was one I would watch it again,
okay.
and I would recommend it.
Okay.
So that's a recommendation. Everybody, whatever
I, on the other hand, am
go
giving
see
it.
Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
I'm giving it a 5.5.
Okay.
I was gonna go 5, but then I'll give it a 5.5 because I was entertained. So I needed to lean a little bit more towards the good side, but it was just I was super neutral about it. Could have done without it. Could have, I enjoyed it. So
It exceeded my expectations.
did it.
That's why I bumped the rate. It was
Okay.
like at the end, I was like, boy, that was pretty darn good.
Okay, cool. I hadn't.
So-
Had you heard of this movie before you released?
I saw it in a preview from another movie.
Okay.
I saw a preview
Okay.
a month or two before,
Okay.
and I thought, well, I'll watch that.
Yeah, I was just scrolling Amazon and I saw Jake Gyllenhaal and I was like, I'm in.
Right, that's your sweetheart. Okay.
Yeah, but
It's
yeah,
such a funny thing.
I'm going 5.5.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it.
All right, thanks for watching The Real Generation Gap. Again, my name is Shane Schildmeyer.
And I'm still Fred Satilli.
He's still Fred. And this has been The Covenant, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Thanks for watching The Real Generation Gap. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of Fred's hair. Let us know what you think of The Covenant. Check us out on Spotify if you don't ever want to, watch the YouTube videos. And we'll catch you there.